Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sober Sitdown. I'm your host, Scotty Stuch. With me today, I'm very, very honored and blessed to have presidential candidate from Michigan, Mr. Anthony Hudson. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a true honor to be able to sit down and talk with everyday normal folks like yourself.
I appreciate that. And, I'm truly inspired by the goal you're trying to achieve, and that's, run to be the President of the United States of America. I mean, I think we need more people like you to, stand up for what we believe is right. And I want to, before moving forward into this interview, I want everybody to understand, with the Sober Sit Down, we're, promoting messages to inspire people to get out there, work hard towards your goals, set goals for yourself, and no matter what it takes, work hard and try and crush your goals, and don't let anybody hold you back. Stay positive and try and be that best version of you can be. And with that being said, I'm kind of want to do a little public service announcement here. This is nowhere, any way, shape, or form for any of my listeners or anything like that. This isn't a political debate. This is a true inspirational content story. I respect other people's views. So please, whoever's watching, I ask kindly, we just remain biased, and it's politics aside. This is an inspirational story. So we're not gonna, if one person likes this party, the other person likes this party. This is just, an inspirational story and a story of a mission. And I want to leave it at that because I know how some people can be, and they get a little crazy in the comments below and stuff like that. And I want people to have respect for my guests. So with that being said, Anthony, once again, it's truly an inspiration, and it's an honor to have you here. So how's it out there in Michigan? And it's snowing down here in Pennsylvania.
Well, the snow just started here. We're supposed to get anywhere from 7 to 10 inches tonight. So definitely winter is not letting go of her reins yet.
Yeah, it's the weather's been truly crazy. I've never seen it I'm 37, and I've never seen a winter like this winter. There's days in Pennsylvania it's going into the 60s in February, and then the next day it's -10. So I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, we've had the same outlook here in Michigan. A few weeks ago, we were wearing shorts and t-shirts outside, and I went to Yuma, Arizona last week, and when I left, it was an ice storm. And when I
Jesus.
come back, we get 7 to 10 inches of snow tonight. So it's definitely bipolar weather here in Michigan as well.
So Anthony, I mean, your mission, you're running for the bipartisan party, for the, president of the United States candidacy, correct?
That is correct. I chose to run nonpartisan because I didn't want to affiliate myself with any of the division and controversy that we have in this country, which is between the Republicans and Democrats. I think for this story to be successful, the whole thing has to be successful, and that is unifying our government and our community so that we can protect our future that's to come. There's so much going on in this country, and it doesn't look the future doesn't look very bright right now. So uh, just a small town guy, born and raised in Texas, small town outside of Austin, Texas. And we didn't have much growing up. My father was a truck driver, so I'm a second generation truck driver. My mother worked at the Secretary of State, renewing driver's license and things like that. Prior to that, she worked in a bank. So we were definitely a lower income family. And you know, when I look back on my life and I see where I'm at today, it's overwhelming, to say, we've had all these struggles from when I was a young kid, going through high school, playing sports, trying to make friends, get good grades, and then prepare for what I wanted to be in the future. And nowhere in that mindset was there any political affiliation. I never wanted to be a politician. I never thought that government would impact my life at all. And just in the last 7 months, it's really hit home in the fact that I see a lot of people talking about politics, and friendships are being lost. Families are fighting over different political beliefs of where the country should be or who should be in office. And I just figured it was time to stop talking and stand up and put my face to the problems in this country. The pursuit of happiness, if you will, which is outlined in the Declaration of Independence. And without it, we are a controlled population. So I want to be an example to a lot of people who are struggling, who may not have hope right now, that this country is headed down the wrong path. And I want to let you all know personally that I have been where you are, and I live the exact same lifestyle that you live. I struggle from week to week at times. Energy costs are through the roof, grocery costs are through the roof, gas prices are higher than they've ever been, and it's tough. But I wanted to let you know that with a little bit of faith and an open mind, we can bring this country back together and we can all be successful in our own way. And if I have to take a leap of faith to run for president of the United States to prove that point, I'm willing to do it.
I mean, amen. I mean, that's what we're here for at the Sober Sit Down. It's for people struggling to build hope. I mean, I named the podcast the Sober Sit Down because I'm Scott. I'm going to be sober in 4 years this coming May, and I grew up in I grew up. I've been everything from poor to rich to in between, and I mean, when I say rich, my father, when he owned a business at one point in time, he peaked for a good maybe 5-6 years where he was above middle class. I don't want to say wealth like the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds or anything like that. I mean, we didn't want for nothing for a couple years of our life, but there was a lot of years of struggle before the business and after the business, and I personally myself had a rebuilding phase myself. So with the Sober Sit Down, I mean, I'll be the first one to say, like, I don't disagree with AA guidelines. I'm not an advocate for Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's why I actually come out here and I'm not anonymous about my sobriety. I don't really, follow the rules of, the 12 steps and all that stuff. I just do what works for me, and I can give advice along the way, what worked for me up until this point. But the Sober Sit Down is all about, inspiring others to follow through with their dreams, follow through with their hope, and to work hard and tackle those dreams. And I feel as though that, with your goal set and your mindset, I mean, you're exactly what this country needs right now is somebody that like, it's enough of the red versus blue team, blue versus red team. I mean, it's no doubt. I don't care people that are out there that are Democrat. I don't care people that are out there that are Republican. It doesn't take a blind man to see how disastrous this country has came and how separate and diversified this country has came. We need to bring it back together and run the United States of America as a team effort. Everybody's got to come together. We got to, get past these things like, everybody keeps shoving it down their throat about, the cops are the bad people, the racism stuff. All that stuff's got to be put to rest already. We all got to move forward as a country. People got to get back to working hard like your parents did, my grandparents did, my parents did. There was a point in time where people were in fear not to work in this country. And now it seems like, there's people out there living, in their 40s, 50s, they don't work and they're good with that. And there's people that are being rewarded for not going to work. And it's just it's a disastrous situation because you take a guy like yourself, you're an independent business owner. You were saying before we went live, you own your own trucking company, correct?
That is correct.
And, my father owned a restaurant for 37 years, and people see all the money coming in when you own an independent restaurant, but they don't understand how much of that has to go out in order to operate a small, independently owned business. So at best, I mean, the best way I can put it is, we also need somebody that's going to be out there that's going to be taking care of that working class, of the person that wants to be above poverty level of working, minimum wage job. and somebody that's not going to take care of the wealthy either. We need somebody that's going to come in and take care of the small, independently owned, business operators. Somebody that's going to take care of that middle class guy who's working all this overtime to try and give more back to his family, sacrificing time away from his family, but he's getting taxed out the ass to pay for other people to sit around and not do anything with themselves. There's no excuse for it.
No, you're absolutely right. And first, I want to congratulate you on your sobriety. My father was an alcoholic way before I was born, and his anger and a lot of his aggression we can relate to the alcoholism that he was abusing. So I know it's not an easy path to get where you are, or anyone who struggles with alcohol or drug use. It's not easy to get sober. So I want to congratulate you for going down the long road and being dedicated and loyal to your progression as a human being and as a man to make your life better in that sense. So kudos to you. Hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you, Anthony.
Now, one thing you just mentioned about the overtime and spending time away from their families just to make ends meet. I am working on a policy right now with my staff that would give every hardworking American in this country who works overtime or collects bonuses throughout the year tax exemption on those hours or those bonuses. If you're going to work more than 40 hours and you're going to be away from home and you're going to bust your butt and you're going to get these bonuses when they're due, when the credit is due, I don't think the government should stick his hands in there at 38, 42% and take it all away from you. So we want our overtime and bonus checks to be tax exempt. Small businesses, just to give them one here, we are talking about any small business with less than 50 employees, we would make them payroll tax exempt to help them free up some capital. So if they need to purchase more equipment or advertise or market for new jobs or expand in any way, because it's really, really, really hard to get a loan through the SBA. So if we can help by freeing up some of that payroll tax on small businesses, we want to help them just as much. So I'm glad you touched on that, because those are some very big topics that we've been dealing with and working on in my administration. And we are solely 100% for the American people. And just like you said, you don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. I want everyone to recognize that there are 48 other parties in this country. They just don't have a voice. And I want to bring that voice to the table, because you're going to have your left, you're going to have your right, and you're going to have conflict. But if we can come together and put compromise back on the table, then we can have a successful government where it goes back to the core principle values of representing the people. Can you tell me anyone in Congress right now who truly represents the people of the United States of America? And without that representation, it kind of leaves us all out there to fend for ourselves, and we don't know what to do. We're constantly fighting, we're constantly struggling, we disagree on everything. And from my point of view, we are disagreeing and dividing this nation while our enemies are making plans against us. And we can get into more of that if you'd like down the road. But, I just want everyone to understand that if you work hard and you're dedicated and you're loyal to your own dreams, you can achieve anything in this country. I mean, it was 40 years ago, I was living in a mobile home in Texas, being abused by a man who didn't know how to be a father. I watched my mother and my brother get beat quite often until I decided to get in between them, and I would take the beating myself. And I still wear those scars, and I wear them proudly because they remind me of where I came from. I remember Christmases where we didn't have anything under the tree, or birthdays where we didn't celebrate because my dad would spend all of the money in the house, leaving us with nothing left to celebrate those moments. So it was very, very, very difficult growing up for me in the 80s. And the only thing I had going for me was that I was athletic. I started finding success on the football field. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was bigger than everyone else. I think in seventh grade, I was 6'2", 180 pounds, and I was a tailback. I just ran over everyone. And in Texas, you get noticed for that stuff. Football is a way of life in Texas. I was successful.
Texas and Pennsylvania, I think, are the two biggest high school football like recognitions. Like a lot of the recruiting across America comes from PA and Texas.
Well, I would love to see a game between Texas and Penn State. I would love to see that happen one day. I don't know if it's ever happened before, but it two historical programs, great talent, and I would love to see that competition on the field. Um, but
Sorry, I cut you
I
off there.
no, you're fine. I played basketball. I played baseball. I was very good in baseball. I had a fastball that maxed out in the mid 90s, but I was a right-handed thrower, so I didn't get a lot of attention because in Texas, again, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball from a right-handed pitcher is every day. I ran track. I worked. I studied, and it started getting better after high school. I decided to pack up and leave the state of Texas. I went to Colorado, became a ski instructor in Steamboat Springs. And I just kind of ventured out on my own, and I learned how to live on my own and rely on myself and no one else. And that's very prevalent in today's world, where it almost feels like you can't trust anyone. That everyone's out to get you one way or the other. No one really has your six anymore. And I learned to be dedicated and hardworking back then. And look at me now. I mean, I'm sitting here in Michigan. I have my trucking company that I started 7 years ago. I have a Harley that I ride in the summertime for a few weeks before it gets cold again. And, these are all fruits of my labor, so to speak. And it's an example to show other people that if you just stay focused and are not afraid to work hard, you can have whatever you want to have in this country. And that's the beauty of being an American living in America. And you touched on it earlier when you said that nowadays people, our age want to stay home and be rewarded by the government, and they're okay with not working. And that's something that we want to change. Americans have become lazy. I'm not afraid to call it like it is. I'm not afraid to tell the truth and tell the people exactly what's happening. And I think the modern day American has put a price tag on their value so high that it's hard to find work that pays that much. So nobody wants to go out and bale hay anymore, or pick apples off a tree, or dig a ditch, or build construction. They rely on our immigration system for that. And right now, I've been to the border twice this year. I went to Eagle Pass. I went to Yuma, Arizona last week, and the illegal immigration that we have is out of control, and it's affecting our workforce in this country. People don't want to admit it, but it is. You've got decent paying jobs going to illegals now, which is all the more reason or excuse for a modern day American to stay home and reap the benefits from unemployment, or food stamps, or cash assistance programs. And I want to change that narrative and start adding random drug tests to unemployment. People who get on unemployment, if they can't pass a drug test, then they're going to lose their benefits. If they don't show that they're interviewing and speaking to employers, they're going to lose their benefits. We're not here to make our welfare system a lifestyle. We want to promote working and prospering and getting out there and being a positive contribution to society. And we just can't do that with all these people sitting on the couch doing nothing.
No, and that's just it. And I was going to say that earlier. Is like I think there needs to be some sort of investigational agency that keeps up on this kind of stuff. I mean, there needs to be there needs to be in these unemployment offices and the welfare offices. Like there needs to be like maybe there might just be something as simple as, I mean, when you're rewarding these people for not working and stuff like that, it becomes, like you said, a lifestyle. Like, do they have anybody sitting there? Maybe these people just don't know how to go out and actually get a job. Maybe these people just don't have the skills to go and sit in an interview. Why aren't these people, instead of give them free assistance, but also send them off to college, get them certified in some? We're at a time right now, especially men, and I don't mean to be sexist when I say that, but especially men, we have a dire need in this country for plumbers, electricians, truck drivers. These are all $100,000 a year jobs if you can get on with the right work team. The work's out there. It's how bad you want it. These are jobs that right out of just working 40 hours a week, you can make well over 60, 70,000 a year, which is way more than the national average to get into a middle class job.
Absolutely. And I don't know if they have people. I mean, you have caseworkers when you're on unemployment or you have any kind of welfare benefits. You have a caseworker, and maybe what we need to do is re-educate our caseworkers so that they stay up to date with their clients, and pushing them, encouraging them to get out there and do something. And one thing I can see that we can do is we can stop this overseas wasteful spending in Ukraine. First off, our tax dollars are our tax dollars. They should not be going to aid another country. We should be taking care of our own people in this country, our homeless, our veterans, our military, making sure that they're funded. But we can free up a lot of money that is going overseas and reevaluate how we're going to spend that money. And one of those areas would be putting it back into these caseworkers so that we can send these unemployed people to trade schools like electricians and plumbers and truck drivers and construction workers. There are so many different trade school programs out there for people to go to that are not that expensive. And usually when you go to a trade school, it can open up the possibility of you becoming a business owner down the road. Once you learn the trade and you put in your time and you learn what it is you're doing, you can get the licensing and you can get grants to help you start a business. And going through unemployment and going to a trade school would be beneficial. But that's an example of us taking our tax dollars and putting it back, reinvesting it back into the American people. And I am vowed 100% to do just that. I am here to fight for the blue collar and the poverty sector of this country to help bring them up and give them a better quality of life. And there's no way that we can have that with the way we currently vote for rich, corrupt politicians without term limits, allowing them to give themselves raises with our money all the time and get nothing out of it in return. So we need to get back to governing the people for the people and reinvesting our money into the people so that they can have the tools to be successful. And until we start doing that, I think people are going to be losing faith in our society.
Yeah, I mean, back to when I was saying investigations, like we were talking about, like with investigational stuff with the unemployment and stuff like that. What I meant by that when I said that was like, and you were talking about Reeducation, I'm talking about like, people that, and I know caseworkers don't do this. I mean, are they going out to these homes that are Section 8, getting $2,000 a month in food stamps, and there's a brand new, $100,000 Mercedes sitting outside that they drive around in? I mean, it doesn't take skill to understand what's going on with that situation. And I think whether it's random drug testing or whatever policies need to be put into place, however you want to go out and hustle and support your family, if you want to live the street life, spend your cash that you're making on the side illegally or however you're doing it, but don't milk the system. That's where I got a problem with that. If you want to go hustle drugs on the street and you're doing that, it is what it is. I mean, let the cops take care of that. But if you're milking the system and you're getting free housing, when I think there was, don't quote me to this number because I don't have statistics in front of me, but I know it's like, what is it, like 48,000 homeless veterans that could be on Section 8 living in free housing and stuff like that. I mean, these guys shouldn't be living under bridges. They should be getting, the mental health, the medical benefits so they can get the right mental health treatments for their PTSD. And like you said, like with those trades and stuff like that, I mean, men, women, anybody, can go out there and you can go out there and go get yourself a trade, work for a year or two, and then become a business owner like yourself, where you can start buying trucks or have your own electrical company, and it could turn something. I mean, I went at there, and I'm not saying everything I do, I don't compare. It's not an I do, you do world, when I was 33, I got sick of the life I was living. So I was working 60, 70 hours a week in the restaurant industry, but I was also going to school 5 days a week to go get my CDL. So, I mean, there's really no excuses other than like you just don't have the motivation and the drive and determination to get what you want. I don't want to hear like, I don't have time. I don't, you make time. You do what you got to do. You work hard, but we got away from that in America and society that stuff should just be handed over to you. You should get $20 an hour to work at McDonald's. No, do you want to make $20 an hour? Go educate yourself. Go out and get it.
Right, absolutely. And with what you're talking about, the people cheating the system, I'm all for disbanding the IRS and reassigning those agents to do other jobs. Research has shown that the states can do exactly what the IRS does. They have the manpower, they have the ability to collect your taxes and then issue you your refunds. That doesn't mean that we need to take all those IRS agents and make them unemployed and put them into the system. Let's give them a new job that will allow them to go out and investigate some of these cases and situations like you were talking about to make sure that our taxpayer dollars are going to help those who need help with rent, those who need help with food, those who need help with their utility bills, and not just out there collecting, $360 a week and then selling drugs and making $1,500 a week on top of that or more. I don't know how the drug world works, but we don't want people playing our system. We don't want to waste our money. And that's something that a blue collar man knows how to do for the most part, is live within his means. We know how to stretch a dollar and make it spend like it's $5 or take $10 and spend it like it's $20. We're not afraid to use our resources to get deals like coupons or buy one, get one free at McDonald's or what have you. We do those things to get by. That's survival. And this generation that we have now, there's no backbone in this country. So I'm with you. I don't want to hear any more excuses, because every excuse that you have, I bet I've overcome to get where I am right now today. So we all know the saying about excuses. Everyone's got one. It's just like everybody's got one. But it's time to stand up. It's time to have some self-pride and go to work and make a living for your family. You need to put your family first, not yourself. And being lazy in this country is not going to get you anywhere. The time for crying and pronouns and sensitivity, that's all over. And I hope they enjoyed it while they were doing it. Now's the time to stand up, hold your head up, put your shoulders back, and go back to work. Get a job and provide for your family. Take care of your family. And if you do that, I promise you, as your next president, I will make sure that I am here to protect you and keep you safe and give you all the opportunities to be successful in what's left of our lifetime.
I mean, right off the bat, you talk about sensitivity, you talk about people jumping to conclusions and stuff like that. And, I'm all for, you talk about the border earlier. I'm all for, these people that want to come into our country to create a better life for themselves. But, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, when most of the foreign people came over from Italy, Ireland, England, whatever you may have in Europe, they had to stop in a place called Ellis Island and check in and get a social security number and register to be a citizen. I have no problems with these people coming into our country, but do it the right way. Have agents at the there, to get them, if they want to come into America because they feel as though it's a safer, better opportunity for themselves, have at it. Give them a social security card. Get them on board to, learn how to speak English a little bit better. And I'm not being racist by saying that. I'm just saying that, if we're going to be a country, we have to be uniform. We have to be unified. They should give them the rights to be citizens. However, each and every one of those people that's over the age of 18 is somebody that could be an employee, that could be another taxpayer, that can help us kind of get out of this whole debt situation. Don't reward them for coming over to being illegal, taking care of them and spending more money. Bring them in and make them citizens. Give them the opportunity like the people from Europe came over 100, 120 years ago. But don't let it slip through the cracks and just let them pour in. And then you got fentanyl problems. You have all these other issues coming with it. They're bringing gangs in here And like if you wean the good out with the bad. There's probably, and I've never been to the border before, and I don't like watching the news because half of it's bullshit. The I don't like. There's probably mothers bringing children over because they feel as though this is a safer opportunity for them. That's fine. Get them on board. Get them with the program. Get the kids in school. Get the mother in. Get all the kids' social security numbers, and have them start becoming an American citizen.
Right, and I could talk about the border all day. I've spent 8 days more than Joe Biden has spent at the border this year, and I've seen it firsthand. And when I was down in Yuma last week, there was a 7-year-old girl that came across illegally by herself. Her mother had abandoned her in the Mexican desert. She teamed up with 3 other boys that were 14, 15 years old. None of them knew each other. And when they came close to the American border, they were running as fast as they could. Who they were running from, I can only imagine were the cartel. I don't know. But they were running. And when they crossed over into the the American border, which was a barbed wire fence, they continued to run until they got to where we were standing we were on the other side of the wall watching this unfold. And they ran right up to us, and they didn't speak any English. We gave them some water. We gave them some food. The guy that I was with was a lieutenant of the San Luis Police Department, and he spoke Spanish, so he was talking to them, translating for me as I was asking questions. And the little girl, her father is somewhere here in the United States, but she doesn't know his name and she doesn't know where he's at. So what's going to happen to her? She's going to end up in the foster care system in the United States, which is not a good system to be in. We all know that. Or they're going to try and find a sponsor for her, a family that is willing to take her in and give her the education and raise her as one of their own. But I'll tell you right now, we don't need, for all of you out there that are thinking we need new border laws, we don't. We just need to enforce the ones that we have. We have good immigration laws, but right now we don't enforce them. And I'll give you an example. In Eagle Pass, Texas, there's 2 bridges, Bridge 1, Bridge 2. Each bridge allows 50 asylum immigrants a day. 50. That's it. Anything over 50, we push them away. We tell them there's literally an agent on the bridge that tells them no mas, no more. They turn around and go back to Mexico. And when that happens, Scotty, these good people now turn to the cartel to get across the river into the United States, and they pay them money, anywhere from $6,000 to $75,000. And I'll explain that real quick. If you're coming from Honduras or Ecuador or Bolivia, you're going to pay an average of $6,000 to $10,000. But if you're coming from Russia or China, it's $65,000 to $75,000 that they're paying the cartel to get them in this country. So, a long story short, the United States government is supporting the cartel. They're funding the cartel to the sum of $23 billion last year alone in illegal immigration. And then the cartel says, hey, if you don't have the money to pay us, one of 2 things are going to happen. Or one of 3 things are going to happen. You're going to go into the United States and you're going to work and you're going to make money and you're going to send it back to us until your debt's paid in full. 2, you're going to smuggle drugs into the United States to help us out. Or 3, we're just going to kill you. That's how brutal it is. And the United States is supporting it. If you think about what slavery is, it's free labor. You force someone to go to work for your benefit that makes you money and they don't get anything out of it. And the way it's set up with these immigrants that are coming over is if they don't have all the money, they come to the United States, they work, and they send it all back to the cartel. That, by definition, is slavery, and the United States is supporting that. So it raises the question for me is, how much money is our government getting under the table to allow this to happen? $23 billion to the cartel. And in Yuma, Arizona, the cartel was very present. We saw it. We had a car follow us out of nowhere And when Border Patrol recognized what was going on, Border Patrol came up to us, and that car that was following us just disappeared. It turned their headlights off and disappeared. Um, we have got to secure our border. We've got to force these immigrants to come into our country legally, abiding by the United States immigration laws. And I do think we can make it a little easier. And I think there's a policy that we're working on right now that would allow the United States to profit from the immigration and allow the immigrants to come in and get educated and go through the immigration classes and come out the other side as American immigrants, legal American immigrants. But right now, it's a disaster. And I had a news crew go with me from Hamilton, New Jersey, the Jerry Petito show. I think you know Jerry. She went
Jerry
down
was
there
a
with
guest
us,
of mine.
and it was very eye-opening to her, where she was almost in tears on day one when she saw what was happening at the southern border. And the first time I went, it was heartbreaking because these people are very poor. They don't have a lot, and a lot of these women are being molested and raped and abused right in front of their children along the way. And it's not happening once or twice to these women. It's happening multiple times, multiple days for the entire journey. And in some cases, it could take 30 to 60 days to get here, depending on where they're coming from. And these people want a better life. And for the love of humanity, I want them here. This country was founded on immigration, and I want to support them. But at the same time, our national security means more to me than anything else, protecting the American people that live here. So we have to force these people to come in legally. And if we can do that, then I think it'll be a better system for everyone involved. It'll make it easier for folks to come over without getting involved with the cartel, and it'll make it easier for them to qualify for immigration once they get here. Because the fact is, 90 to 95% of those who cross the border illegally seeking asylum don't qualify, and they do get deported back to where they came, back to Mexico.
Yeah, I mean that's not much to ask for. I mean you're just asking to do things the right way. As me, as being a father myself, and I just want what's best for the future of the kids of America. I mean, before this situation gets way out of control, I mean, you can't have these people that are over opinionated, like the comments that we're making right now when we say about the border and stuff like that. If they don't like what they have to hear, it's automatic. Oh, that's racist. You don't want them in the country. No, I do want these people to come in the country just like any other immigrants from any other countries, whether it's Canada, Europe, anywhere. You come in the right way though, just like everybody else did. Like my great grandparents had to come in. I want things done the right way, because when you don't do things the right way and there's shortcuts put into play and policies aren't, like look at the fact of the people about defunding the police. Look at how chaotic the people, like there's laws put in place for reasons.
Right.
And now it's just utter chaos because people don't want to follow rules because it's not the thing to do. It's like waking up without a plan. It's like waking up without following a schedule. When you don't have structure in your life, I don't know anybody that's ever been successful that didn't live a structured lifestyle.
And that's what we want. We want the American people to have structure, but the key element here is that we want them to maintain their freedom. And right now there's a lot of these liberties and a lot of these freedoms being taken away. And I know for a fact, like in Illinois, crime is pretty much legal in Illinois. I don't know if you guys have heard about the safety bill that was passed on January 1st of this year, where second-degree murder is non-detainable. You can commit second-degree murder, they're going to fingerprint you, and they're going to hold you for 24 hours, and then they're going to let you go back out into society. Second-degree aggravated DUI, aggravated assault, kidnapping, harassing a public official. These are all non-detainable offenses in the state of Illinois, and the courts are saying we're going to go with a no cash bond system and go back to the trust system. You're trying to trust a criminal to come back to their court date? I don't think so. I think if you want to go without the cash bond system, that's fine, but everybody stays in custody until their court date. That's the only way. That's the only foolproof way that these criminals are going to see the judge. And when you talk about immigration, the first thing these people are doing when they cross the border is committing a crime. They are legitimately, by law of the United States of America, criminals because they did not cross the border at a check entry point or a port of entry. They came across a river, a dried up riverbank. They came across a desolate area out in the middle of nowhere. They are violating the law and they are criminals. If you want the truth, that's the truth. And I think in my administration, we preach three words: RAC, RAC, responsibility, accountability, and consequences. And if we just ask the right questions, who's responsible for writing these laws and enforcing these laws? Who's accountable for making this happen? And what are the consequences if you violate the law? And if we can answer those questions, we will have that structure. But my main goal at the end of every day is to make sure that every hardworking American man and woman is maintaining their absolute freedom in this country. But if you violate the law, you will be held accountable, and the consequences will be steep, and we will enforce them. No more of these little slaps on the wrist. You go beat up a woman in a subway in New York and you get 90 days and you're out. No, if you get 5 years in prison, you're going to serve 5 years in prison without good behavior days. We want you to sit there and think about what you've done and rehabilitate yourself and know that we're serious about enforcing our laws. And I think if we do that, then criminals will have to start thinking twice before they break the law in this country. Everyone says that they have an excuse for what they've done. Oh, I robbed the bank because I was going to lose everything. No, get a job. Get a job. Go back to work. Earn everything. Don't steal it from someone else. Don't hurt someone else because you're unhappy with your life. You're the only one that can stand up and make a difference in your life. Don't rely on anybody else. Don't rely on handouts. Be strong, America. And that's what I've been preaching. Come together, unify, stand up for the right reasons, protect our freedom, protect our Constitution, and get back to work. It's not that difficult. Life is easy, but we make it hard, and we don't need to. We need to just get back to the way it was back in the day, when life was a little easier. You could go out and play all day long. Your kids weren't going to be kidnapped. You could leave your house unlocked, your car unlocked. Am I delusional in thinking that that could ever happen again? Maybe, but it's a nice idea that people trust each other enough and care and respect about each other enough that you can leave your house and leave your door unlocked and nobody's going to go in there. And if somebody does, your neighbors are going to watch out for you. We need to have peace within our own country, and the time for reflection and unity is now. No more division. It's not getting us anywhere. The hatred's not getting us anywhere. These excuses are not getting us anywhere. If I can stand up and get out of an 18-wheeler coming from a mobile home in Texas with literally nothing and run for the most powerful seat in the world, and to this day, 30 million people now know my name, then anybody can stand up and find a job and support their family.
Amen. I mean, there's no reason why, I was a CDL driver for a while myself. I put that on the back burner, and nothing. I sell cars now for a living, and I'm an auto salesman. And nothing kills me more when I see two people come in that are two. You get a couple that comes in that both work full-time jobs, and they can't even afford to put a down payment down on a car. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They can't even get a reliable vehicle to get back and forth to work. And people, can make their comments and say like, well, how do you know what they do with their money? Well, because I was and still sometimes am a paycheck to paycheck type of guy. I mean, do you think, I don't want to get political here, but like, do you think Nancy Pelosi or anybody like that knows how to live a paycheck to paycheck style life? And these are the people that we have the people that inherit positions from their parents, from their grandparents. They never live paycheck to paycheck lives. How are you going to sit there and tell the citizens of the United States, most of which that are full-time working class people that have to live paycheck to paycheck, how are you going to tell them what you believe is right for them and what you don't believe is right for them? You don't know how to live that life. You don't know how to, well, on a Friday when you get your paycheck, on Monday, you got a shut-off notice from the electric company and the water company, and you're saying to yourself, which one could I pay today and which one could I negotiate on Monday so I still have water and electricity till my next paycheck?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know, I'd go one step further and ask how many people today that are 25 to 15, because that's when they start learning to drive, can change a tire on a car. Parents have got to start parenting their children and start teaching them how to get ready for life. And I think some of that goes into our education system also, where, you know, we took out cursive writing, we took out wood shop, we took out automotive, we took out welding, and, you know, we started adding these foo-foo classes, and now we're allowing these LGBTQ gender identification comment or conversations to happen in our schools, and we need to cut that out. You know, we need to get back to our core curriculum and teach these kids how to prepare for tomorrow. And a lot of that includes learning how to change a tire, learning how to sign your name on the back of your paycheck. None of these kids now know how to sign their name because they don't know how to write in cursive. You know, parents are scared to punish their children, and because they're afraid CPS is going to be called, and the state's going to get involved. And no, parents, raise your children the way that you were raised. Teach them, educate them, show them the way of life so that when they are 19, 20, 21 years old, they can build their credit, they can manage their money, they know how to work hard and be a team player, and they have responsibility, the integrity, they know how to be punctual and show up on time. This all goes back to parenting. And, you know, I'm scared for my kids and my grandkids to grow up in this society the way it's going. I don't know if there's going to be any jobs by the time I have grandkids, because my kids are 12 and 14. Artificial intelligence is taking over everywhere. If you walk into a GM plant or a Ford plant here in Michigan, 80% of the jobs are done by robots. Hell, we even have a McDonald's in Michigan that has no human beings in it. It's all computers, it's all robots. You know, if you go inside, you order your food on an iPad, you sit down, and a robot brings out your food. That's the world we're getting into.
You have to
So,
check all your own groceries out at like Walmart and all these other places. Like, there's not even
yeah,
clerks anymore.
if I'm going to check out my own groceries, I expect a paycheck at the end of the week. You know, if I'm doing their job, then I want to get paid for it. And that's disgusting to me, is that capitalism has gotten so overwhelming to the American people that now you do look at Walmart and Home Depot and Lowe's and some of these other department stores. They have self checkout stands that are more, yeah, they're convenient. I get it. Okay. I understand the technology, but there's more of those in there than there are people behind the register. And I personally like the personal touch, the personal interaction. After I shop and I talk to the cashier, the cash register person, I'll help them bag my clothes, ask them how their day's going, just to talk to them a little bit. A lot of people need that, and we're taking it away because of artificial intelligence. We're taking it away because of computers.
But it's built. It's also billion-dollar companies that are also taking away job opportunities for people at entry level. People that are, needing a secondary job, or a job like a kid that's going through college, or somebody that's less educated than the next person that's all they can qualify for. That's job opportunities that are being eliminated through the computers.
And I think it's just a way that government wants to put their foot down on the American people to control us one way or the other. A lot of people are against the fence. They're either capitalist or they're socialist. Both of them are taking place right now at a very high rate. And if we don't pull back the reins and protect the right or preserve the right to work in this country, our young kids are not going to be able to know what it's like to go to work at the age of 16 or 17 to afford their car or their insurance or their gas or whatever. Here in Michigan, you can go to work at the age of 14. Some places will hire you at 14. My son turned 14 in January, and I have a work release packet that I filled out. We're going to try and get him a job in a restaurant where I know the owner here in town. He'll bus tables, but at least it'll get him used to being on time somewhere, doing a job, taking orders from someone, being a team player, and then at the end of the week, getting a paycheck and learning what to do with it. Core parenting values that we need to give to our children instead of allowing our children to be confused with what gender they are or change these pronouns where everything's a pronoun. Forget it. There's men and women on this planet. That's it. If you're a young boy going to school in North Carolina and you're identifying as a cat and you want a kitty litter box in your school so you can go to the bathroom, under my administration, that's not going to happen. That kid needs mental health. He needs therapy. And we're going to make sure that that family has access to that therapy, because if you think you're a cat to the point that you want to squat in a litter box, something is obviously wrong. Accept who you are, America. I'm all for people, supporting the right to choose in this country. If you want to be gay, that's your choice. That's between you, your partner, and your relationship with God. If you want to be a lesbian, that's the same thing. But when you start forcing these ideologies on our children that are, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, who they don't even know what they want for breakfast in the morning, let alone if they want to change their gender for the rest of their life.
They didn't even hit puberty. They didn't even hit puberty yet at that age. And you know what? Whatever you want to be, your body, your choice. That's fine. That's whatever it is you want to do. People should have the freedom. Like you said, if you're if you're gay, lesbian, straight, whatever it is you may be. That's it's always been a thing. But the problem is now, the more louder you are about it, the more privileges you get. And you know what?
Right.
This shit with over privileging because of past experiences of not getting privileges, that's where it's got to stop. Everybody's equal. Everybody needs to stay on point. And like you said, everybody needs to come together and unify. I don't want to hear that somebody called somebody a slang 60 years ago, so now I owe it to the world because I'm not of that nationality or of that thing. Like, no, that's bullshit. Like, this stuff's got to stop. Nobody's owed anything. Everybody
Right.
just needs to move forward. Let go. They always say, preach, let go of the past. Let go of the past. Yeah, let go of the past. Don't forget about it. It's history. But everybody just needs to unify and come together.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
enough of the segregations, enough of the over privileges, enough of this, gimme, gimme, gimme. You want a gimme? Go get.
Right. And if you want those privileges, earn them. Get off your ass, go to work. If you want someone to think a certain way about you, earn it. Get their respect and keep it. Stop burning bridges. Stop, lying and deceiving people. Stop being, dishonest to yourself. It's time that America wakes up and understands who we are. Our history. I'm proud of our history. I'm not racist in any means. You know, I feel bad about what happened during the slavery years. I've been educated as to how the African American community has risen up to get to where they are today, and I'm proud of them. I don't look at people as being black or Latino or white or Asian or Muslim. I look at people and say, you're an American. You're an American man. You're an American woman. That's the first words that come out of my mouth as an American. And as Americans, we need to come together and we need to change what is so that we can be more successful tomorrow. Don't, like you said, don't forget about the past. Understand where people came from. Respect that. Honor that. Live today and prepare for tomorrow so that the past doesn't come back around and kick us in the ass again. We don't need that. We need to move forward. And right now, it's like everybody's hit a brick wall. They're upset. We're broke. We're unemployed. We're uneducated. And we're crying everywhere. Oh, I'm this. I'm that. I need this. I need that. Like you said, get up and earn it. Go to work. Earn a living. Be responsible. Think outside the box. Have some integrity. And you know what? one of these days you'll develop a backbone when you get tired of people stepping all over you, and you'll stand up for yourself, and you'll demand that respect. And I'm not saying that's who I am, that's what I do, but I treat others the way they treat me. And then when I get upset, I have bad days and I lose my mind from time to time because I'm human. That's the race we ought to be concerned with. We're part of the human race. And that, together we live in this country, and that's who we need to take care of, because this is our lifetime. Like it or not, we all live in this together right now. And if we don't take care of ourselves, those that are behind us won't have anything to live for.
Yeah, I mean, I cry when I see my gross pay from my net pay when I get my paycheck because all the taxes that are taken out. I mean, like you said earlier, like you take somebody that's a base pay of 30 grand a year, and if they kick ass one year and they decide they're going to work 80 hours a week rather than 40, and they just say they go into 60,000, they get put in that next tax bracket. It's like they didn't even work, and for what? They made a couple extra $100 a paycheck, but they're away from their family twice as long. I mean, that stuff's old already. Like they should be, like you said, giving tax breaks to the people that are willing to go out there, work, and make this country spin.
And we're looking at a flat tax system where everyone pays the same, and it doesn't matter what your income is. You pay the same. If you follow me for a second, if we paid a 15% flat tax, and that covered everything, you paid it at the end of the year. Okay, so all year long you got your entire paycheck. When you go out to eat, you didn't pay taxes on your food at the restaurant. You buy a car, you don't pay your taxes on the car right away. You're getting rid of all of that, and at the end of the year, you pay 15% to the country, to the government, based off of what you made. Now, everybody will be different. If you're a billionaire, your 15% is going to be a hell of a lot more money than what someone who made $30,000 is going to be. It's forcing the wealthy to pay their share. But we can get rid of the sales tax. We can get rid of all the, like our fuel taxes. We get as a trucker, I get charged tax on the same gallon of fuel at least 3 times. At least 3 times. I get the state tax, the federal tax, and IFTA. And why? It's the same gallon of fuel, and I'm taxed 3 times on it. If I go out to eat, I'm paying a good portion, a tax on my food. I shouldn't have to do that.
Well, what about like say my grandfather, he worked 40 years of his life. All, you say he was in, I'm going to say it like it is. My grandfather, electrical union, worked 40 years of his life, all taxed paychecks for 40 years straight. When he gets elderly and passes away and leaves his family a couple dollars, why should they have to pay an inheritance tax on that?
They shouldn't.
It's ridiculous.
It should.
That's double taxed money.
Yeah.
It's just like a business owner. You pay sales tax, like you said, you pay fuel tax, you pay all these taxes. Then they take taxes out of your paycheck that you draw out of your small business. But then you got companies like Nike and Amazon that know how to manipulate the system, that are multi-billion-dollar companies, and they know how to move money around, and they're not paying taxes at all. That's not right.
Well, that's why I think a flat tax would be great. We're still tweaking this a little bit. This is just an idea that a lot of people have brought to the table and said, well, what about this? This could be a better way. So, let's say your personal taxes, you paid 15%. And then corporate taxes would have a higher base tax rate. Let's say a corporation pays, 20%, 22% base flat tax for the year based on their income, on their earnings. Wouldn't that be fair? I mean, if all year long, I mean, it forces you to manage your money a little bit throughout the year, because you need to figure out, okay, let's say I make 60,000 a year, 15% of 60,000 is XYZ amount. Divide that by 12 months or 52 weeks. This is how much I need to put back and save, so I don't get hit with a sledgehammer in April when I file my taxes. Because if we're going to give you free overtime, if we're going to give you tax exempt overtime and bonus checks, we've got to make sure that everyone is paying their share of taxes to make it work. We can't have companies finding loopholes. We can't have people negating the system. We have to be able to track it. And these are all the things that we're putting on the table and discussing within my administration so that we can work it out and make it a legit, viable option for the American people to vote on. But I'm not going to put anything into place that's not going to benefit people like yourself, the American people. If it doesn't benefit the middle class or the poverty section in this country, it's going to be wiped off the board, and we're going to start over.
Like I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that student loans should be able to have interest tacked on them.
Some of these loan companies like Sally Mae or whatever, they are a business, so they're trying to make some money off of their loans. What I don't agree with is having the high interest rates on the loans. I could look at an interest rate that's at a 0.25 up to about a 1.75% interest rate with better terms. If you got to stretch it out, make it easier for them to make the payment. In the long run, you're going to make more money on the interest because you're stretching it out longer. But at the end of the day, the student who's paying back the loan has a smaller monthly payment because they're not getting killed with the higher interest rates on a short term. I don't believe that student loans should be forgiven. I think there are grants out there, there's scholarships out there, there's ways to get money to go to school, and a student loan is an option. And if you take out a loan and you forgive that loan, doesn't that almost discriminate against those who take out a loan for a house or a car? Because those guys are not getting any kind of forgiveness with their loans. And you have to look back at the taxpayers who are paying the money to pay off those student loans. That would be someone like myself. I don't have anybody in college, so I shouldn't be paying for somebody else's tuition. If you don't have somebody in college, you shouldn't be paying for their tuition either. And that's where they were going to stick us with this loan forgiveness program, is they were going to make the taxpayers incorporate that cost. And that's not fair. That's the same as if you own your home and you're paying your property tax every year. A portion of your property tax goes to the local school board or the school district. If you don't have kids in that school district, then you shouldn't have to pay as high of a property tax because you're not contributing to the school. I think you should only contribute when you have children going to school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's so many ways where we could streamline our taxes to make it, we reprioritize. That's the word I like to use, is reprioritize what's important and stop sending it all overseas and start investing it back in this country. And I'll give you a quick example. Jordan, the country Jordan, got $410 million from the United States for border walls. $410 million. Why are we building border walls in Jordan when our walls left wide open? If we had $410 million plus the $3.7 million for the Obama Trail in Georgia, I mean, that's almost $414 million. Where are some places that we could put that money? And it doesn't sound like a lot when you think that the country runs on billions of dollars annually, but smaller programs we could put into SSI, we could put into a veteran program to give them free mental health care. We could put into a homeless program to get these homeless people off the street. We could take that $410 million and disperse it across the country to help our schools, to secure the schools. And if you go to my website, AnthonyHudson2K24.com,
the link will be below in the description for those of you that just didn't catch that.
If they go there, the first policy on my policy page is how I would be able to secure our schools so that no parent has to get a phone call from a principal or an administrator that we have an on-campus shooter and we don't know where your son or daughter is. And some of this $410 million could go towards that. Some of the $285 million that we designated for an LGBTQ library in New York can go towards programs like protecting our schools. We've got to stop the wasteful spending. I think Arizona got $20 million for a bird watching bridge, but yet their crime rate in Phoenix went up by double digits. Why is Phoenix not getting that money to add more law enforcement officers on the street to help control the crime rate in Phoenix?
And
That's a better use for the money.
this is what people don't understand is that's why in the car industry where I work, we have 800 credit scores some days that because of the Federal Reserve constantly raising because they just keep mass producing money to send places that they don't need to send it or do things with it that they don't need to be doing rather than focus on what needs to be done. You got 800 credit scores leaving a car dealership with a 10% interest rate, 9 to 10. That's unheard of.
Right.
3 years ago, it was 2.9. That's unheard of. Because why? Because we just keep mass producing money and somebody's got to pay it back. Just like I go back to the McDonald's logic. People want $15 an hour for McDonald's employees. And you know what? They're people too. Everybody's a human being. I understand that. I get it. But don't bitch now that you can't get it. There's no such thing as the dollar menu anymore.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like that it comes with everything comes with a price is what I'm getting at.
Everything comes with a price, and everything's gone up in this country. And I think when we finally vote to elect a president that is people first, and my slogan is people before politics. That's what I believe in, and it should be a lifestyle, not a slogan. When we get a president that is 100% for the people, then there is nothing that this country cannot produce. Simple.
The hard
We
part
make
is, the hard part is though is this is the problem. And you know, we got 50 states and they all are governed by all different, 50 people. We got to get everybody on board to do things one uniform way. If the policy fits to increase the better of the United States of America, everybody's got to do things one way. It can't this like look at kids now. If you give options never work out well.
If you give too many options, you just confuse the hell out of people and they don't know what to do. They get overwhelmed. But I don't think getting 50 people to come together and run the nation, each state, the governor of each state, I don't think it's so much socialism as it is forcing the integrity to make these people come to Washington and sit at the table and stay there until we get an agreement from everyone involved, whether it's a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a constitutionalist, a federalist. It doesn't matter who is sitting at that table. We don't leave the table until we come together, much like a jury. How does a jury work in a trial? As long as one person is unsure, they cannot reach a verdict, right?
That's how I was going to respond to that, actually. It's funny. You
Yeah.
just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's common sense, and America needs more common sense. These representatives that we have govern these states, the Congress, the House of Representatives, the senators, how much do they get paid on an annual basis versus how many hours they actually work in a year? They're only in session at certain times. And then more so now than when I was a kid, you hear things like the government's going to shut down if we don't come to an agreement, or we're going to reach our debt ceiling if we don't raise the bar. None of these things would happen if this was a full-time job, 40, 50 hours a week by every member of Congress and the Senate and the House to show up in Washington and do the job every day, if that's what it takes. But you got to have a big enough table with enough representatives sitting around from all walks of life to sit there and be willing to battle it out until a compromise is made. Compromise is good. Being able to agree to disagree is good. Leaving the table split and having sides fighting against each other is never a good idea. Because once that happens, it bleeds down into society, and those who are loyal to the Democrat Party and those who are loyal to the Republican Party are going to feel that tension, and they're going to continue to hate each other in our streets, in our communities, in our grocery stores. So if you want to change, you have to change it at the top. And I've come a long way in my life. I don't know how much people would look at me and say I was a success story or not, but I am motivated to be the change that this country needs and I'm willing to put my face to every problem in this country until we get it resolved. And to get it resolved, we're going to have to be bigger, better people. We're going to have to stop with the childish attitudes of I'm right, he's wrong. Da, 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 da. No, you're both wrong. Sit down, shut up, and let's come up with an agreement to make this work. And
And
until
that's
our
the
president,
and that's
go ahead.
and that's the problem. Sorry, Anthony, but that's the problem. Is there's too many voters out there that wanna vote for somebody that's gonna coddle them and keep condoning that behavior. That's
Well,
gonna be
those
the challenging part.
Yes, it is, and not as if this isn't an uphill battle already. But there's a lot of people that feel like they need to be coddled, and I'm not for that. I'm an American man. I'm a grown man. I'm a strong-willed man. I'm set in my ways, but I'm open to compromise. When I see the reason I'm running nonpartisan is because I do see value in the Democrats and the Republicans. Like I like the Democrats' version of the abortion laws more than I like the Republican version. But I like the Republican Second Amendment dedication more than I like the Democrats. Um, I think that I think there should be I think there is a way to get these sides sitting at the table and say this is the big bullet point. This is the big bullet point. Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Can we do this? Let's take this off the board and add this. How do you feel? How do you feel? Good, good. Okay, call it a day. We're done. And I think the more you force our government to work, the easier it'll be for them to adapt and want to get things done sooner rather than dragging it out. Because we all know that they would rather be on a golf course somewhere or doing something other than sitting at a table in Washington. But that's what we've got to do. We've got to get back to the basics. And there were no parties in the very beginning. And I'm all for disbanding the parties because I'm bigger. I'm a bigger American than I am a registered Republican in the state of Michigan. I, I bring more to the table when I see the whole circle of life rather than half of it. And that's where our government needs to be. We need to see the whole circle and stop with the left side and the right side. It needs to be one side. And I'm going to bust my ass until I get it done. I'm 46 years old. People need to understand that if I lose in 24, I'm going to run again at 28. I'll run again in 32, 36, and 40. And when I run in 2040, I will still be 4 months younger than Donald Trump is today.
And Anthony, and the people that the problem is there's too many people that bitch about this and that and that and this. If you don't like it, get out. Stop
If you
stop
don't,
stop
if you don't
tarnishing
like it,
America.
yeah, go to Mexico if you want. I hear they got it real well down there. Stay there 6 months and then come back into the country, and you'll get all kinds of benefits.
So Anthony, when did this whole journey of reaching this goal that you were trying to achieve, where did this come from? When did it one day, were you just driving a truck and you said, I'm going to run for president? How did this all just come about?
July 8th, 2022. July 8th, 2022, I decided that I've had enough of just sitting back in the shadows talking and complaining about everything that's going on. And my grandfather always said, if you want something done, do it right yourself. We've all heard the comment, but how many of us actually believe in the comment these days? How many of us are willing to roll up our sleeves and do the work? We got to get back to that. And on July 8th of 2022, I decided I'm going to do this. And I put up a video on TikTok, of all places. I put up a video. I've never been viral on TikTok. I've had a few videos hit, 20, 30,000 views or whatnot. But this video I put up hit 1.8 million views in just a matter of a week or so. And then I put up another video and it got a couple 100,000 and so forth and so forth. Then I started seeing an average margin of 50 to 60,000 views on my videos. And mainly, I would go 85, 90% of them were all in support of one of my slogans, putting a blue collar in the White House. And it just kind of took off. And that account got banned. It got taken from me on TikTok. So I started, I think when it got taken, I had 80,000 followers. And I don't know, 400,000 views or likes or whatever. I had to start all over. And I started on August 18th the day I got my letter from the FEC stating that I was approved by Washington to run for president of the United States. I started with that video, 500,000 people, boom, right off the top. And a few months later, I had 186,000 people on TikTok, 1.5 million views, multiple videos over 500,000, 300,000. Right now, I think they're averaging, I don't know, 50, 60,000 people. But, it just started growing. And next thing you know, I'm doing a news interview here in my hometown in Michigan. I go to Eagle Pass, Texas, and I've got news coverage there, and I'm meeting the chief of police and the sheriff and the city managers. I go to Yuma, Arizona, where I shook hands with Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Jeffrey Fry and all the other Democratic or Republican congressmen that were there. I attended a congressional meeting. I'm doing all of these things that never in my life had I ever thought were possible. And if you go to my TikTok page or my YouTube, Facebook, and I'll make sure you have all that, you can see me standing behind the podium talking to Jim Jordan, and he's a little guy. He comes up to about right here on me. But I'm talking to all these powerful people within our country. And I remember telling one of them, I'm not going to name his name, to keep him from getting publicly embarrassed here. But he knows who he is if he listens to your show. I asked him a question, and he didn't want to answer. And I said, well, we can come over here and talk in private. He goes, no, anything you have to say to me, you can say in front of all these guys. And I said, oh, so they pull your string just like they do Biden's, huh? And his mouth literally dropped open. He's like, is this guy really talking to a U.S. congressman like this? And I said, I see that guy over there telling you where to go, when to leave, when to get in the van, when to get out of the van. They control you, and you're stupid to think that you have any power out here. And I don't think he liked me talking to him that way. But you know what? I don't give a damn.
Tough shit.
I'm here to run a country. I'm here to lead the country in a better direction than I found it. And the time for coddling and burping everyone on our shoulder is over. It's time to plant our feet in the ground like concrete, roll up our sleeves, forget the feelings involved, and do what's best for the American people. And if that has to be me, then I'm prepared to do that. So 7 months ago, July 8th, 2022 led to August 18th. And from August 18th on, I've been educating myself. I've been putting together policies for the American people, policies that would protect me, policies that protect my freedom, my kids, my fiance, policies that will help us. And if they help us, if they're good enough for us, they're good enough for you and your family and your children and your friends and their families. And you see how this can spread all the way across the country. Love me or hate me, I don't care. But you are my best interest. And I will make sure that I look out for every single American in this country and those who want to be in this country to have the opportunity to have a better quality of life where they're safe, they're secure, they have opportunities to be successful, and they have a government that represents them from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. That's my goal, and that's what I represent.
So Anthony, like you said earlier, there was like papers signed or whatever. How does one just run for like president? Like, how do you like how did you what did you have to do? You have to like go online and fill out an application. Like, what does one do?
There's I reach over here to my thing. I'll see. So you have like a form 1. Okay, you see that FEC form 1? Where's my camera? It's hard to see. There it is, right up here in this corner. FEC form 1, and then you have an FEC form 2 form. So you fill these forms out, you send them off to the FEC. The FEC will give you an agent, and they'll call you up and they'll talk to you, make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. And they'll interview you. They'll make sure that you're at least 35 years old, that you are, a natural born citizen, or that you're an American immigrant who's been here for 14 years. Those are the only 3 qualifications that you need to run for president. And once they qualify you, they send off your paperwork to another department, and then you get a letter in the mail. And I don't know where mine is. I have it filed away over here somewhere. that says you have been qualified to run for president of the United States, effective. And for me, it was August 18th, 2022. And it had a campaign number, COO823435. And that changed my life. That changed my life completely, because when people saw that I wasn't just talking about running, that I actually did the legwork to get filed, registered, and approved, then the support started pouring in. And now we have representation in all 50 states. Um, Probably the larger states right now are Texas, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But don't let that fool you, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of people in California that support what we're doing also. And that's a victory in itself, because California has always been a Democratic state. But the people of California are tired. They're fed up with what their governor is imposing. Businesses are getting shut down. They're going to stop selling gas vehicles in 2036. They're going to stop selling diesel in 2040. And people who own businesses that need diesel, truck drivers, farmers, whatever, are pissed off, and they either want to leave or they want a change of regime in the state of California. And I'm getting a lot of support from that. So being nonpartisan is really what fits me well, because there are literally, Scotty, there are millions upon millions of people that are leaving their political home and going independent. Tulsi Gabbard did it. She was a Democrat. Kirsten Sinema out of Arizona did it. She was a Democrat. Now she's independent. Just two prime examples. So running as a nonpartisan or an independent, it really has its benefits, because you are allowed to work with everyone. And some historical news for me is we have a new Democratic governor in the state of California, Governor Bass, and my trusted advisor is working with her office, and he's about 98% sure that she's going to fly me out to California and have me work with her on cleaning up her city with my immigration and homeless projects that we're working on. And if we can be successful in Los Angeles, that'll be a blueprint, a staple for the rest of the country. And she's allowed to work with me because she's a Democrat and I'm nonpartisan. If I was a Republican, she wouldn't even be interested. But she can work with me because I'm an independent. And that's what I want to see. You know, I want to see governors who are like-minded or who want help to reach out and say, listen, you're a guy in the middle, you're firm, you know what you want to protect the country. Come help me with my city, come help me with my state, come help me with the United States of America. Be our next president. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll gladly do it.
Coming together with teamwork, and that's what you're promoting.
Yes, sir.
Unifying.
Well, you can't spell community without the word unity.
Yeah, that's and I always say, and some people get mad at me for this one, but the only time you'll see success before work is in a dictionary.
I like it.
So, Anthony, to finish up, I appreciate your time tonight and everything like that. What's next for, I think, you just said that project with California, but what's next moving forward up until, when the voting starts, and, what could anybody do to help achieve your goal and your mission?
Well, right now we're all about exposure. We want to talk to as many of our citizens across this country as we possibly can. We have our website again. It's going to be at the bottom of the show here. Anthony Hudson 2K24.com. We want people to join our staff. If you're motivated and you support what it is that we're trying to get across this country, then join our campaign. Volunteer some time. Help us with some emails and phone calls. It's literally that simple. If you want to make a financial contribution, we have a donation spot on our website where you can make a small donation. I think it starts at $10 and goes all the way up to $250, maybe $500. But really, it's about promoting the truth and promoting who we are to the people. And then these opportunities will come up. I'm going to Washington, D.C., March 10th through the 13th with my son and his 8th grade class. I get back from that, and I'll be heading to Hamilton, New Jersey March 23rd through the 26th or 25th. When I get home from that, March 29th through April 1st, I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky, a guest speaker at the Matt's Truck Show, the Mid-American Truck Show. They asked if we'd come down and speak to everyone at that convention. So I'll be down there for 3 or 4 days, meeting 150,000 truckers all across the country that stop in. So we have a lot going on in the month of March. We just got back from Yuma. We went to Eagle Pass in January. We've been busy. But there's still so much more to do. So if anyone who's listening to the Sober Sit Down tonight and they feel compelled to reach out to me, please do. And you can do that on my website. The email is there. Fill out the join form. It comes to me personally. We will talk to as many people that want to talk to us. And I don't care if they're a billionaire or if they are making $28 a week. I don't care. An American is an American, and I don't care what you make. Your life is just as important no matter where you stand on the food chain. And I feel like if we are going to change our country, if we are going to be an independent nation, which is something we earned in 1776, then we need to tell the rest of the world we're good. Back to our own fuel, our own crops, our own manufacturing, get our education up, get our VAs reformed, get our military taken care of, get our homeless off the street, protect our schools, protect our border. There's so much we need to focus on in this country, and there's no better person I'd rather work with than my brothers and sisters who call themselves Americans. And for that reason, I am running for president of the United States as a blue collar man.
Well, sounds fantastic. I mean, I just, I hope, I hope everybody can just come together, because that's nothing more I want to see than just all this, left, right, diversity. I just want equality, and I want everybody to, get back to, traditional America, and that's why a lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter what I am, but I go, I'm going to tell you straight out, I'm for what's right. I'm not registered either one. I said, I'm for what's right, and I'm for what's going to be the best future for, me being a middle-aged man and having a kid, for the future of the children of the United States. You got to start doing what's right and getting this country back on track. We're focusing on too much other things and not what's going on internally. And I just feel as though that a lot of the stuff you said tonight was excellent. It was so inspiring, and I just hope everybody can get on board and help you fulfill your mission and get us back to the old ways.
Everyone just needs to remember the Constitution of this country starts we, the people of the United States of America, not we, the Republicans, or we, the Democrats. It's we, the people. And we, the people, are the ones that can change the course of this country. And if you want it bad enough, I'm the guy that'll help you get there. But I need your help. This is a historical campaign. It's an unusual campaign because it's blue collar. Everything about it is blue collar. My campaign manager is a handyman, a jack of all trades kind of guy. My treasurer she works in a hospital setting, and my personal advisor owns a trucking school in California, and we just all come from different walks of life, but we are successful within this campaign, and that's just the beginning. So I encourage people to check out the website and ask us questions. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and get to know who we are, because in the end, it's your life that I'm trying to help. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for all of you. And that sums it up.
Well, Anthony, I appreciate you coming out tonight, and I love a lot of the stuff I heard. I'm sure the audience, once I release this episode, is going to love what we heard. As I said earlier, guys, a lot of Anthony's stuff will be attached to the description below. Make sure you check it out, and let's try and get back America on track. Thanks again, Anthony, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. And Make sure you hit subscribe if you like the content. God bless.
Thank you, Scotty.